Hey guys, it's Chloe if you didn't already know, and today I'm back with another YouTube video, and in today's video, I am going to be talking about purity. It has been a super hard year and I haven't been around a lot at all. Like since August I haven't posted because this school year has been a big slap in the face. I've learned so many lessons and God has been talking to me and teaching me tons of different things, and I'm really ready to share some of the things I've been learning. It's taken me a while because I haven't felt like I've finished learning the lessons yet. So now I'm slowly going to try and remember situations and lessons I've learned so I can talk to you guys about them. So I did an Instagram poll to see what you guys wanted me to talk about, and purity won. So today I'm talking about purity. So before I get started, I wanted to talk about me having my fair share of intimate moments and having to make decisions. I'm not perfect whatsoever. I cannot specify enough how imperfect I am. I think a lot of the time we can look at people, and especially people who maybe have more of an influencer position. I know I look at a lot of older senior girls at my church or whatever, and I'm like, they're perfect. They've never been through a situation like this. But I'm not saying that I'm an influencer in any way. I just talk about Jesus sometimes. But let me tell you, I am so far from perfect, and I have had many instances where I've had to make a decision and I haven't always made the right decision. But with all that said, I have 100% learned from a lot of the mistakes I've made and a lot of situations that I don't think are mistakes, because I learned from them. Anyways, so let's get rolling. So I think it's sometimes really annoying because we talk about sex so much. We talk about it with our friends. We talk about it at school. We talk about it sometimes in class with teachers and lessons and health class, and we talk about it at church, and we talk about it all the time, and you talk about it at home when your parents are asking you questions about if not even necessarily sex, but what you do with your boyfriend. And those conversations are really valuable and really good. So if your parents are having them with you, try and take advantage of that and ask them questions, because your parents are not perfect. They've done things, they have experiences, but I think it can get really annoying to talk about. However, they're so valuable. But today I wanted to kind of talk about it from a Christian girl who been there, done that, had mistakes, made decisions, and kind of show you guys my perspective on purity. So I think something that is really misinterpreted, maybe, or something that we think that isn't true. So the huge thing that I think that a lot of high schoolers and middle schoolers think that isn't true is that everyone is doing it. I think in a lot of instances I've been so irritated because I'm like, oh my gosh, everyone is doing it. It's got to be fun because everybody's doing it. And let me tell you, I'm not doing it. So if you're like, everyone's doing it, that's not true. Gloria Catlin, she's not doing it. And there are people who aren't doing it. So that is a terrible excuse to do something because everyone's doing it, because it's not true. People who say they're doing it might not be doing it. So yeah. And then also talking about it is a lot more fun. Okay, sorry. I'm confusing myself. Talking about it and doing it are so different. So I think in a lot of situations people would be like, oh my gosh, even not necessarily with sex in general, but situations where it's oh, do this with your boyfriend, it's really fun, blah 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 blah, do this. So you can talk about oh yeah, but then you go and do that thing and come back and hey, yeah, I did it. Then people are like, oh, I see. And then they'll start saying things about you, especially girls. Not saying that boys don't get any backlash, but sometimes it's playground creds with boys, oh yeah, you got her to do that. And then when it's a girl, it's you did that with him? And then girls are kind of more petty about it and a little bit more judgmental. So, and I've had situations where I'm like, oh, guys, guess what I did? And they're like, cool. This is making me sound a lot worse than I am. Okay, but pretty much what I'm saying is not everything that you do is gonna be glorified. It's we talk about it, but then once you do it, it's not that cool. It's not cool at all, actually. And it can be ruined. You don't want to ruin something that's really, really special. And God intended it to be so special between a man and a woman. And in Genesis, it talks about how a man and a daughter and a son will leave the parents and be united in marriage and like married and just becoming one. And you want to save that for that one person because it's going to be so much more special. Okay, sorry, I'm just like hopping around. So we're going back to the fact that it's not that cool. Don't talk about it. There's a verse in Ephesians. It's Ephesians 5 verse 4. It says, nor should there be I can't say this word, obscenity, foolish talk, or coarse joking, which are out of place, but rather thanksgiving. You don't need to be sitting around talking about it. It's not cool to talk about it. Talking about it in a mature manner is completely different than like, hey, guess what I did? Because that's just not going to benefit you, and it's going to make you look trashy, and you don't want to look trashy. And let me tell you, not that you should be like trying to impress boys or trying to even like necessarily attract them, like, no. But pure girls are really, really great. Like, in the long run, those are going to be, and pure boys too, those are going to be the people you want to be with in the end. You don't want to be with somebody who's been sleeping with a bunch of people. Not that you guys, like, not that people who have done that are unlovable. Everybody is so forgiven. You don't have to, if you've already made a decision and made a mistake, that doesn't mean you can't move forward. You're already forgiven. You're 100% forgiven. Nobody's going to judge you, and God has a huge plan for your life. But if you haven't made that decision yet, I highly encourage you, because in the long run, it's going to be a lot easier for you emotionally. However, I'm trying to stress so much that if you have made a decision that you regret, or even that you don't necessarily regret, but wasn't a good decision necessarily, that doesn't mean you're not forgiven. And God still loves you so much, and there is somebody for you that is going to love you, and God has an amazing plan for you. You just got to pray about it and move forward, making good decisions. Okay, sorry. I'm getting so off topic. I haven't filmed in a while, guys. Couldn't tell. So I bet you're saying, okay, this is all like great, Gloria, like don't do this, don't do that. Now you're just sounding like an adult. How are we gonna do it? Boundaries. Having setting boundaries is really, really important for a relationship. I actually have had instances where I'm like, what do I even want my boundaries to be? I don't know. So one night I texted my sister's best friend and I said, ski scat over here. She's a senior. I was like, I need you to come have a chit chat with me. And then I texted my sister and I was like, hey, I invited Anne over and I want to talk to both of you because I wanted two perspectives. And Anne is a lot like my oldest sister, but she lives in Georgia, so I can't be like, hey, come on over. But I invited Anne over, and then I went and I sat downstairs with my sister and I was like, hey, I need some healthy boundaries because I can see my relationship progressing and I want it to be wholesome and I want to make good decisions. How do I do that? Setting those boundaries and then having a conversation with that boy or that girl is so, so important. Boys, you can set boundaries. It doesn't have to be the girl that sets boundaries. Obviously, don't like force her to like do more than you want her to do, and girls, same thing. Don't be like, well, this is how far we're gonna go. Like, no, it's a conversation, and if he wants you to go farther than you want to go, that's not how it works. And if he wants to, like, you know, other way around, like, you guys need to set boundaries that you both are comfortable with and that are good for both of you and good for a wholesome, pure relationship. And if you're confused like I was on what that is, talk to a small group leader, talk to an adult, talk to your mom, talk to your siblings. In my case, I talked to my oldest sister and a trusted other senior that have experienced things. Okay. Stick to those boundaries. Talking and having a conversation with the person that you're in a relationship with is so, so important. And if that person is good for you, they'll respect them. And if they don't, hopefully they'll end the relationship, or you'll end the relationship. Ladies and gentlemen, stand up for each other, okay? Stand up for each other. If you're hearing somebody have some unwholesome talk about somebody else in the hallway, say something about it. Don't just like let it go. It might not make you cool. Who cares if you're cool? I mean, that's easier said than done. Sometimes I care if I'm cool. But if you hear somebody talking about another girl or another boy in an inappropriate way, or saying things about them that are just vulgar and disgusting, stand up for them. Say, hey, maybe you shouldn't be talking about her that way. And they'll be like, well, she did it. Like, it's fine. Who cares if she did it? She shouldn't be talked about that way because she's still a human being, or he is still a human being. Do not dehumanize people based on what they've done. Don't stay pure just for you. It's really, 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 well, you can, especially in high school, stay pure for yourself, and that's awesome. But one day, you're going to have, if you save yourself, you're going to have a really great wedding night and wedding day, and it's going to be very, very special. And maybe if you are having trouble doing it for yourself because you're like, I don't actually care, maybe think about the person you're going to marry. Pray for them. Think, like, and you're probably wondering, like, I've said to my parents before, I'm like, maybe he's not even staying pure. And my parents are like, but you don't know that. I don't know that. Pray for that person and pray that they are making the right decisions, because it's going to make your relationship really, really, really special. Not that it won't be anyways. And I'm trying to stress so much that you are already forgiven if you've made a mistake. But in the instance where maybe you haven't, or you have and you want to get back on track, just pray for that person. It will make it a lot more easier. I pray for my future husband all the time. I don't know who he is. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Maybe I've already met him. Maybe I haven't. I don't know. But pray for that person, because they're also doing life right now, and it's hard, and they're learning, and they're growing. Getting dumped because you're a goody-goody is a good thing. I've had so many instances where people have told me, they're like, you're too good for me. And I'm like, okay. And I'm not calling anybody out, but it's really annoying. It's like, okay, great, thanks. Really appreciate it. Because you can really, really like somebody, but they're not good for you. And it's really mature of them to be able to be like, hey, I'm not good for you. You might, like, I don't want to lead you down the wrong path. That's really mature of them. And I hope that that person grows and can be, get their life back on track, and maybe eventually you guys can be together. But I know it can sometimes hurt, and sometimes especially being like a really like good, trying to stay pure for like as a girl is really difficult, because there's so much pressure. There's so much pressure. But be able to accept that, and in the long run, it's really, really gonna help. And it's going to be a good thing for you, I promise, because there's so much emotion that goes into it, and you might think that there's not, and you can try and bury it, but it's going to come back up. It really, really, really will. Even just kissing is emotional, and you can feel attached to it, and you should feel attached to it, because it's an intimate moment between you and another person. And and not that that's necessarily a really, really bad thing. It can be a really beautiful, amazing thing, but you need to be really, really, really careful. And don't wear your heart on your sleeve. There's a Bible verse that says, above all else, guard your heart, because everything you do flows from it. So be really careful with your heart, ladies and gentlemen. And this is not a video straight to girls. It's really good to be a good, wholesome dude. Like, I know that it's probably really, really hard for boys, because I know boys talk about it all the time, and about like, how far have you gone? And girls do too, but girls are a little bit weirder about it, to be completely honest. But boys, like, I know that I've heard the pressure that goes on, but it is so valuable, and it's such a beautiful thing that God has created, and we need to be so careful with ourselves. Lastly, not even a hint of sexual immorality. I have been in instances where I'm like, well, I guess this isn't sex. I don't really want to do this. It technically isn't sex. It's not really bad. I mean, I can get away with it. There's been instances where you have to make a decision. But saying a big no is easier than saying a bunch of little no's. And that's something my mom has always told me. So if you say, no, we're not going to put ourselves in this alone situation, then you won't have to say, no, don't touch me there. No, let's not do this. No, no, no. Because saying a big no is a lot easier than saying a ton more little no's. I was actually struggling with that one night, and I pulled out my Bible, and I was like, I haven't read my Bible in a hot minute. Let's read Ephesians. And I love Ephesians. And in Ephesians chapter 5, verse 3, it says, but among you there must not be even a hint of sexual immorality, or of any kind of impurity, or of greed, because these are improper for God's holy people. Guys, you're representing somebody. As a Christian, you're representing Jesus. And people are definitely going to see that. You want, when people look at your eyes, you want them to be able to see Jesus shining through you, because that love is so intense. If you felt it, you know how intense it is. So don't try and hide it. And if you haven't accepted Christ, let me tell you, it is the best decision you'll ever make. It's not an easy decision. It isn't. Your life is not going to be rainbows and sunshine the moment you accept Christ. I think my life has been hard, but it's that much easier because you're not doing it alone. You have somebody to talk to about everything. And I think something I've really learned a lot with purity is it's kind of scary to tell God, because it's kind of like telling your dad. But once you do, it's like weight off your shoulder. He already knows anyways, but talking to him about it is so, so good. And not even a hint, guys, not even a little bit of sexual immorality, because it's going to lead to a lot of other things. And that's what it's talking about in Ephesians. That's what Paul is talking about in Ephesians, is about, that little hint is going to lead to a lot more. So don't even do it. It's not holy. It's not what God intended it to be. And the day that you get to fulfill it in the way God intended it to be is going to be super, super magical. And I know it's kind of gross to hear me say, but it's going to be really, really good. So I highly recommend waiting, because it's you want it to be special. And boys and girls. And also, # you're not doing it alone. You're not the only one not having sex, because I'm not having sex. I know other people who aren't. Boys, don't talk about it. It's not cool. Okay? Nobody thinks it's cool. It's not. Okay? It's hard not to, because it is something that is really glorified in our culture. But just wait. Just wait. And I promise you won't regret it. Okay, sorry, this is a really awkward video. I hope it made sense. If it didn't, I'm really, really sorry. Comment down below what you want to see me do next time. If you follow me on Instagram, I would love for you to DM me and let me know what you think or what you want to see more of. I have a lot of stories, a lot of situations that I've been put in. If you guys want to hear some personal things, I'm ready. I'm ready to share. It's been a hard year, but here I am. Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to hit that big red subscribe button so you can be notified whenever I can't talk. Whenever I upload a video. Comment down below what you want to see me do next time. Love you to the moon and back. See you later, alligators.